Oh geez, here we are. Ye olde Honda Insight. That battery was at 2 volts. I'm not confident, but we're trying anyway. Battery in repair, We've got one flat tire. None of these tires are all that good. This is the pair that, if you remember, we got this set of tires used in Texas. Some RE92s. Pretty roached. Pretty roached, but I have a whole new set. Inside here, smells vaguely like pee. And then we have the lithium battery, which is charging. Broken Kenwood radio. And no interior behind the seat. So the goal here is going to be to get this car usable as quickly as possible so that I can take it to where is it? Kansas City, Missouri. 6 days from now for Insight Fest. I don't even know what I'm doing. It's all very vague. So I have to remember what all is wrong with this and figure out what I need to do. I believe putting on the new wheels and tires, probably put the wheel spats back on, motor mounts, figure out the 12-volt battery situation, probably swap out the gauge cluster and dash panel from my other car because I can't even get to the HVAC knob on this. Probably decrapify it. There's a lot of rodent turds in the engine bay. Reassemble as much of the interior as I can. It's probably going to be about it. Anything more than that is going to require getting the old car up on jack stands, which I don't have the resources to really do at the moment. I mean, this also needs body panels, suspension, a whole bunch of stuff, a whole mess of things. One thing I'm hoping to figure out at Insight Fest is I'd like someone to show me how to get these off. This one feels like it's trying to remove itself, but I've got 3 sets of these to remove off of cars and put the best set on here with new clips. I'm also hoping that Scott might bring some clips with him that I can buy while we're there. Scott is a killer 3-cylinder. He makes a lot of good stuff for these cars. Honestly, I should just bring a checkbook and come back with a bunch of stuff, because who knows, Scott just might bring inventory. But I guess the first step is to get this thing to move. Let's see what the battery's at. Oh boy, just the state of this engine bay. Hopefully nothing's gotten all chewed up. I already swapped over the primary O2 sensor for my other car. There's the secondary down there, but I can't get the secondary off of my car without getting it in the air due to differences in things. So let's just stop this repair. Hey look, more turds. Oh my gosh. Okay, just gonna hook it back up. Here we go. What's it say? Well, came back up. I'm not too worried about not looking like, the belle of the ball at Insight Fest. A lot of the cars that come are in fairly rough shape. Oh, I have to unplug the IMA charger in order to start the car. That's the other thing. The actuator thing is... yeah. I believe there is a 3D printed fix for that. What do we got here? Absolute garbage gauge cluster, but this thing has the same amount of miles on it as my silver one, which means I can just swap the clusters over. Anyway, let's see if this thing starts or not. Wow. Reasonably smooth IMA start and everything. I'm not too upset about that. Well, I got her on jack stands, and unfortunately, I think that is a completely trashed outer tie rod. Unfortunately, Rock Auto cannot get me one in time, so that's fun. Might have to attempt to replace that with a used one from my other car, which is kind of sketchy, but really the only option I have at the minute. At least I will have these nice, fresh RA92s that I bought shortly before all of this went down. They've been stored indoor, climate controlled, so they are good as can be. I don't know what the date code is on these. The goal here, get those wheels on, get that motor mount, and that motor mount replaced. I did notice something very nice that Honda does. This motor mount has a bolt coming in from the front and no nut on the back. It goes into a threaded portion of the motor mount, so you don't have to go messing around with a wrench on the back of it. Absolutely delightful. So, also, what is up with these lug nuts? Are you for reals right now? New? Old. This one was reasonably straightforward to get out. There's a big old bracket here that's kind of best gotten out of the way so you can get to the lower two bolts down there, and then out it comes. This other one's going to be kind of fun because the ABS module is going to need to move to get that bolt out. So that's cool, but it's not too bad. That one makes some fun noises when you move it around, and this one doesn't. So this one's probably better. I don't know. These are used casings redone with new rubber in them. That's pretty much all you can get, but I got these off eBay, so hopefully the durometer is roughly close. I don't know. These are pretty rough running little cars anyway, but this thing was like making the dashboard vibrate and shake around. It was absolutely miserable. For this one, there's a couple of locking nuts that need to be loosened so that you can lift up the ABS module. AC lines need to be taken off the bracket taken out, the clip holding all the AC lines taken off. I also undid the high side pressure switch so that you can get this up like that. And that's how you get the long bolt out with a bunch of extensions and whatnot. So it's not a ton of fun, but it is doable. And the rest of it is just the same 14mm sockets that we've been using this whole time. And installation's reverse of removal. Just make sure to plug everything back in and put the bracket back wherever the heck I put that. And it's time to move to the third one under the car. Oh yeah. Bracket, put that back. And then it's time for the third and last one. And then we'll have new motor mounts. Never driven an Insight with new motor mounts before. I'm sure it's just as bad as it was before. Honestly, these mounts that I'm taking out don't seem all that trashed. The torque mount is usually the one that goes bad anyway, but I figured since I could buy all three on eBay, might as well buy all three at once and get them done, because I do intend on keeping this car for a while and actually trying to make it mechanically nice at least. I don't think this will ever be cosmetically nice. This thing's... yeah. Well, that'll do it. Some cheeky little cheap-ass used window weld or something like that to shore up this failed torque mount. Yeah, people do that a lot, but it doesn't work because the result is the shakiest car you've ever seen. Also, as you saw, headlights polished up real nice. These have Morimoto projectors retrofitted, so this thing should cut through the darkness like nobody's business. So I guess now I'll just put the new wheels and tires on and put it on the ground for now. Tomorrow I'll head over to my parts car probably just try and get both tie rod assemblies off for good measure. And I remember when we got this car, we could not, what was it? We wanted to adjust the alignment, but we couldn't because the tie rods were seized. So I'm not going to have any luck just doing the outer on this. It's pretty hard to see, but the inner tie rods actually bolt onto the center of the steering rack. It's a very interesting setup with this electronic rack, but it works pretty dang well, so guess I gotta give it to them.
So smooth.
The wrecked car. Fortunately, it gives me plenty of parts. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff out of here, and then I've got Ed over here helping me out because I wrecked my back working on the car earlier. He is pulling both front tie rods. Really, I only think I need the driver one, but honestly, might as well just replace both. This car had a good alignment, so, you know, all cars are the same, right? So far, the pile of parts I've amassed is the metal for the back half of the interior. I've got the spats for this, along with their Zeus fasteners, short shifter, my nice Video Continental radio, my speedometer that is hopefully not broken, and then I have this dash piece just in case it ends up less broken than the other one. This temp knob exists, but it's also broken. It can't be that broken because it doesn't come out very easily. Well, whatever. The little circle tab thing that holds it in is a little boogered up. So I'm not sure if I'll swap dash panels or probably not. This one's cracked, and hopefully I don't crack the other one on removal. But I think for now I will get the seats out and start putting in the interior metal parts and probably the wheel spats. And then we can continue on with getting the tie rods swapped over. And I completely wrecked one of those wheel studs because there was a bunch of gravel shoved into one of the lug nuts that was sitting on the ground, and I didn't notice until I went for the impact gun, and it just completely shaved off the nuts. Here's the tie rod L. Inners are different. They're also different auto to manual. That bushing is not great, but it's all corrosion free, so that's nice. And even that dust boot is intact, so that's pretty cool. And this stuff is off of the silver car, which, if you remember, was sitting in a field for like 5 years before I got it. So I'm pretty impressed with the condition of that. this point, the only things left to do were to reinstall my under tray and swap over the secondary O2 sensor from my other car in hopes of fixing a P0421 code that I was getting. Once all that was done, I pumped the tires up to the proper highway specification and gave the thing a quick alignment in my driveway using toe plates and some measuring tapes, and then a wash. To wrap it all up, I wanted to see just how quick the lithium swap with the 40% hack was against a bone stock Insight, so we did the world's slowest roll race against my friend's bone stock example with a low mileage battery. It went poorly for him. That night, I couldn't remember when the last time was that I actually changed oil on this car, so it got some fresh oil, just to maximize my chances of actually making it to KC and back.
Engine oil. It sure is.
It's 5 in the morning. Let's go to Kansas City. Maybe.
Ew. I forgot. I forgot to clean this. Oh, that's disgusting. Also, wow. Stop that. Gas is under $3 a gallon. Shame we won't be using that. We gotta use the one that matches the car. Fuel economy meter is reset. Lifeblood is acquired. Music is on. Except it's not because I'm recording. And I think we're ready to head to Kansas City. In an untested car. Oh well. Not even 2 miles in, and my check engine light went off. So I guess it's happy with the new O2 sensor. So that's nice.
To the surprise of basically no one, the Honda made it here without incident to Kansas City, to Green Tech Auto for Insight Fest 20, what year is this? 2024. Unfortunately, my fuel economy was fairly horrific for one of these. I got something like 42 miles per gallon, which is funny to be describing as horrific, but when you're booking along at Kansas interstate freeway speeds through the Flint Hills, yeah, this thing was doing its best. There was one long sort of gentle uphill where it was just 10 kilowatts of assist the whole time, and the battery got down to like a 20% state of charge and had a background charge for a while. But really, the result is, 73 horsepower just isn't really enough to do 80 for very long. I mean, it works, but it's not as efficient as 40. The interesting thing about the Insight community is the enthusiasm that they have towards a platform that is almost wholly abandoned by the manufacturer and largely ignored by the aftermarket. This results in a very tight-knit community centered roughly around some amazing individuals who've contributed insane amounts of talent and effort into preserving and improving Honda's moonshot little hatchback, and Insight Fest provided a unique opportunity to meet and talk with these people. Killer 3-Cylinder, Mutter, Mario, and others were present and gave talks, backstory, and demonstrations of their projects, like this one, Pegasus, which allows for complete control of the digital dash and the inside for stuff like engine swaps or just having more information available. It's really cool stuff, and I got to play around with the prototype. Common issue on these cars is these A-pillar covers here, and this is actually kind of a common Honda thing in general. I think Fits from this era have the same issue. Yeah, they break, and these clips here can't be removed. You have to actually cut them to get the panel off. I need to do this on mine. This one right here likes to leak water and gets the seatbelt wet and throws a light for the airbags, which is really annoying. It's called the wet seatbelt issue. A lot of these cars have it, a lot of these cars need this, and of course the cover itself is a fairly fragile piece of plastic, so they break pretty frequently, and they command a very hefty premium used, especially if they're in one of the more desirable colors like citrus green. An impromptu swap meet has broken out, and I actually found several things that I was looking for. The cargo net, the passenger side floor mat, and one of the front side strakes, all three of which are pretty rare parts, and I got 120 bucks and got all three of them. So I'm pretty happy so far. I also managed to sell my rear speaker add-in and one of the lights, which nicely paid for those parts. So we're doing good. We're like net $0 right now, and I've got stuff that I needed. How about that? So my buddy Andrew's ratty red car was sitting here, and then I looked over and saw this really clean red one. You know, he's got the ultra lightweight sticker package, really clean headlights, and I looked inside and saw probably the rarest option that any Insight here has. The double DIN radio enclosure, which I don't think was ever offered in the US, just Japanese models if I remember correctly. And the owner here, Julian, actually has an incredible story about this particular car.
Alright, so this was the first hybrid sold in Alaska. It was sold new in Anchorage at a dealer called Continental Honda. And I bought it from the original owner, who lived in Seattle at the time. I flew to Seattle, picked up this car, and I drove back to Delaware, and along the way I did like a couple stops here and there, and I've even taken this car up Pikes Peak and down.
How did it do on Pikes Peak? Did you set a new lap record?
No, I did not break Romain Dumas' record. No, but I feathered the throttle just enough to where I didn't hit the IMA battery's assist, so I can save the assist part. And the last corner I floored it, and it took the last two corners hot, and it drained half the battery. And that was when I had the nickel metal hydride battery. So I'm glad I feathered it as long as I did.
So you swapped this to lithium?
Yeah, it has the 5 amp hour
nice
G3 lithium pack.
Yeah, and I see you've got the original newspaper clippings from when hybrid cars were big news in Alaska, apparently, where we got the original Prius and this Insight. And you told me you've even got the plate from the newspaper article. It's probably...
This was the original plate number for this car when it was registered in Alaska, and I got it replicated to even the same style of base, because I'm a license plate enthusiast. So little things like that are very important.
Nice. Well, that is super cool, man. Thanks for taking the time to tell me about your car.
Thank you. Thanks for having me over.
Yeah. Naturally, a lot of the cars at Insight Fest had lithium swaps. A lot of them had the 5 amp hour lithium swap like I have, which has OEM style, capacity, and capability, but some of them, like these here, had larger lithium swaps that enabled more PHEV style experience. And then there's this car that showed up with a very DIY lithium swap arrangement, including a lithium replacement for the 12-volt battery in the front. Now, I'm not going to go out and say this is unsafe. A lot of this is just kind of commodity lithium management hardware, but I would have put a bit more effort into the cable management of this thing just to avoid short circuits and whatnot. Well, the sun's set, figuratively and literally, on today's events. I just got to thank everyone for putting on such a good event. All the guys here at Green Tech Auto, Peter, Mutter for convincing me to come out here in the first place, Balto, everyone have been great. Andrew, I'm sure I'm missing some names, but it's been real great hanging out with everybody. Seeing all the different ways that people have found a way to make the exact same car so vastly different, and the enthusiasm that they have for one of Honda's strangest creations, probably. I struggle to think of something weirder. Maybe the Moto Compacto, maybe? I mean, Andrew's got his Moto Compacto in his Honda Insight, so I guess he wins. But it's getting on to 9 p.m. and I've still got to drive back to Wichita from Kansas City. It's a Honda Insight. I'm pretty sure there's not going to be anything left for me to film, so I guess I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.